I always pause at the beginning of this. Anyways, the last time I posted was in February, and I was talking about my slasher fest. And I realized that I don't think that I talked about my watching of Indigenous peoples movies, like not like with Mexican Americans playing Indigenous, um, like Native Americans, but I feel like I said that incorrectly. I hope that you know what I mean. Like back in the old westerns, they used to just cast Mexicans as indigenous like Americans. And that I'm saying that, but that doesn't like I'm not trying to erase the fact that there are indigenous Mexicans. Am I making sense? I hope so. Um like I don't want to erase those tribes, is what I'm saying. So anyways, I watched some of that. Like I watched a few of those. I watched Smoke Signals, very cute movie. Loved it. Made me cry a lot. It did. It was so good. I also like the story was good. It was very like I could tell how they were gonna tell the story at the beginning. And they did do it exactly how I thought they would. But it was still great. Like very well done. I don't really know how else to say that. It was just good. And then I watched, like, it made me cry a lot. It did. Like, I understood both characters' perspectives. I feel like I should have looked up their names before I started this episode, but I'm such a fucking chaotic mess that I didn't. Both characters, I understood their viewpoints and like on their viewpoints on his dad, viewpoints on each other, viewpoints on like their outlooks on life, like their personalities. Like I get it. I got it and it was very captivating. I loved that movie and I will watch it again. I also watched The Last of the Mohicans. Did not realize that was based on like a true story. Of course, all the indigenous creators that I follow on TikTok like make fun of that ending, the ending of that movie, and I love when they do it because it like jokes aside, it's a that last like couple scenes is a cinematic masterpiece. Like very well done. It's just also hard to watch when I was watching TikTokers make fun of the ending first. Like, I don't know. It was good though. I was watching it and I'm like, what is the point of this whole story? Like, I feel like I'm not following a real storyline. And then Keith was like, this is based on a true story. Like, he was a little peeved that I wasn't being as respectful as I should have been. And he's like, this is based on a true story. So, like, sorry that it doesn't have uh the old razzle dazzle. And I was like, okay, my bad. I took it much more seriously the rest of the movie. I did giggle at the end because, like I said, I've seen TikTokers like picking on it and stuff, but it was good. Then I also watched, and I know it's not necessarily like it doesn't it's not supposed to be based on um the indigenous peoples of Alaska. I know it was shot in Roslyn, Washington, but I watched Northern Exposure whole series, and I love it. I love that he shows up and like by the end of the series he's gone native, and I do appreciate the like I don't know, the authenticity of it. I like how everything is shot. I like the simplicity of the town. I love the um indigenous factors that are put into that show. It's like, although it has a lot of white people in the show, there is, like, it's Alaska. Like, they paint it as, like, this is a different world up here. And Alaskan natives call the shots. And I love that. And they're different kind of people. And it's just great. I wonder, it, Alaskan, is that called, Inuit? Inuit? I think so. I'm not going to say the slur because I know that that's what that is. But, like, Inuit? Yeah, perhaps. But anyways, Marilyn, of course, is one of my favorite characters, but my absolute favorite, and I understand that I do believe he's not actually indigenous, but the guy who plays, or Ed, is my favorite character. Ed and Chris. It's weird that I would like two male characters more than everybody else, but Ed is all about the movies. All about the movies, and that is me. Then Chris is the radio show host. That is me. Like, I just related to them both so much. Like, Chris's poetry and how he, like, talked about the books and music and pieces of literature. I love that. That's what I would love to do on Featuring Jesse. Like, that's the goal, is, like, all the stuff that I've done. I would like to just put it into these episodes. And then Ed, like, his passion for movies and him always quoting the movies and referring back to them in real life. I do that every day of my life, all day. It's always movies. And it's another thing that I want with Featuring Jesse. Like, it was so good. And I remember my dad watching it when I was a kid. It's his favorite TV show. So, like, rewatching it was nostalgic and comforting, but also, and I remember loving Chris and Ed when I was a kid too. Um, but like rewatching it was just so great because I saw it from like an adult's uh awake perspective, and I just love it. So yeah, those were my three indigenous films that I watched. I also, so let's see. Oh my gosh. So for December, I just watched all the regular Christmas carols. And I don't, like, a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't listen to this, but a lot of people don't know this. I celebrate Yule instead of Christmas. Yule has its pagan origins. I'm Wiccan, and so we follow the wheel of the year when it comes to holidays that we celebrate. And so I'm making sure that this is still recording. Cool. And so we still, although there's like, now there are more books for witches and everything, you have to be careful because there's a lot of, like, let's take a little sidestep real quick. Spirituality wise, like, there's a lot of quote unquote witches out there just running amok. They practice without education, they disrespect sacred practices, they invade closed practices, and then they just spread that garbage around, and other people follow their lead. And so there are, books for children out, and I would love to eventually, like, create animated, like, short films the way that, like, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Year Without a Santa Claus were done. Would love to do that for little witchy children to watch. But, that's like a goal someday. But you have to be super careful with the magic that you, like, look into with certain people nowadays, because it's a lot of misinformation and a lot of carelessness and disrespect. And so I keep me and my girls um, pretty close to traditional magic that I have been taught by my grandmother, or that is Celtic magic. I try to use logical thinking and common sense, all of that, to make sure that I am not overstepping or being a nuisance. With that being said, we watch a lot of Christmas movies, and that's fine. We watch Year Without a Santa Claus, Santa Claus Coming to Town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you know, the Santa Clauses. We also watch Prancer from back in the 80s. I love that movie. So, they all have God like in them and everything, but to me they're nostalgic. I grew up watching them, and I know any 90s kid did. Um, Keith, my fiance, he introduced me and the girls to Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And so that's traditional now. We watch it a couple times every year. And what else? Oh, The Muppets Christmas Carol. That's always good. That's my favorite. And the thing is, so like Christmas and Yule are probably our most mingled holidays, like that, are mingled with each other. Oh, and Astara and Easter. Those get mingled a lot also, because they're very much the same. But um so like the Christmas ones, they're so soothing and comfortable, and you can put them on and they can play and you can decorate, and as long as in my opinion, as long as things stay towards old-fashioned Christmas and away from corporate red Christmas, and those are two different things. When I think old-fashioned Christmas, I think decorating your real tree with pine cones and, plaid fabric ribbons and garland and felt stockings. Although we do not cut down our Christmas tree anymore because Darcy on TikTok said, "Why would I kill a living thing for it to sit in my house for such a short time?" And that's fair. I never want to cut down a Christmas tree again. Never. So I will not be doing that. But Keith did buy me a little potted Christmas tree, and so we're gonna plant it as soon as we buy land. We're gonna plant it, and that can be our little yard Christmas tree. Cute, right? No Christmas trees have to die. But anyway, so we celebrated that. Those old movies are so wholesome and wonderful. So that was Christmas. That was December. January, I did a New Year, New Me kind of movie thing where I watched movies that everybody said. So when people are talking about a movie and you're like, "Oh, I've never seen that movie," and they're like, "Oh my God, you've never seen that movie? You have to see that movie," right? So that's what my New Year, New Me was about. And it started because Keith was like, "Oh, this part in E.T." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've never seen E.T." Which I haven't. Even after this New Year, New Me. Haven't. I will fix that. Okay? So, he was like, "Oh my God, you have to see that. That's like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. It's like Spielberg's biggest thing." I disagree, but okay, I guess everybody has their opinions, and apparently his opinion is the most popular opinion, so he wins that one. But anyways, so I did like this New Year, New Me, and I watched things that I have either never seen or I've seen, but only through like glitches, through like clips. Like I'd be walking through the living room and my dad would be watching it, and so I'd see like